So hello everyone, there we are again with the second episode of the build series for the twin turbo V6 prototype engine. And this time it's time for a bit of an update, I guess, because we finally found ourselves a chassis. And it's not any chassis, it's a T²X. We found this one at the Saab garage in Apeldoorn, Saab Auto First. And they were planning on scrapping this car because it had a broken engine, a broken transmission, and it had some other broken stuff, hellbacks, the prop shaft. So there was quite a lot of work that needed to be getting into this car, and unfortunately the previous owner had no time or possibly not the money for it. So they ended up stripping it and making it ready for the scrapyard until we came along and luckily bought the chassis. Now the chassis is not in that bad of a shape. There is a little bit of rust here and there, which we will definitely be fixing up, of course. But other than that, it's a T²X, and you know, we can do with it whatever we want in this case. Add the twin turbo V6 prototype engine to it and hopefully make it as good as new, or hopefully maybe a little bit better than it was at new. Now, as you can see here, there was a little bit of rust on the heat shields that sort of protected the fuel tank, and that is something we definitely need to address, which we will eventually, but not in this episode. Now, as you can see here, the interior of the car is pretty much stripped already, which for the purpose of this video is actually pretty good, as we are going to sound isolate this car to make it a lot more quiet and luxurious than it was from factory. We are going to sound isolate the car by adding these vibration plates to the chassis of the car, to the body of the car, to make it more quiet to sound, as this material absorbs vibration. Now we're going to reduce the NVH of the car. The NVH stands for noise, vibration and hardness, which is usually measured via all kinds of sensors. Now to reduce this, we are going to renew all the rubbers, replace it, figure something else out if it's not available anymore, but we are going to rejuvenate those essential parts. We're also going to add extra sound isolation to the car on vital occasions. And we're going to do this with the goal to make the ride more quiet and more dampened. We will also try to reduce wind noise by adding dual layered windows. We'll try to reduce tire noise and all those other things. But with sound isolation comes some disadvantages. One of those disadvantages is added extra weight to the car. But before we can add sound isolation to the car, we're going to have to strip the remaining items that are still in the car. So we're going to start with a montage, or in this case, demontage video of all the things that we've taken out of the car, or at least a few of the things that we've taken out of the car, and talk you through sort of our struggles with getting things out of the car. Obviously we're going to do the easy bits first, as the easy bits come out usually easily, but luckily it's a Saab, so it had a few surprises up its sleeve, one of which is a very annoying sort of clip that's very close to where we are at right now, as we are currently removing the side panels of the trunk area, and in the trunk area is one very nasty clip that we sort of pressed inwards to get it out, but that took probably 15 minutes, and we sort of didn't want to demolish that clip because of course those items are difficult to obtain. But luckily the Saab worked along with us, and we were able to remove eventually all the items out of the car to be able to get to the meat of the car, basically the chassis, the body. So we're able to add the sound isolation to all of it. Now, one of the struggles that we had to achieve to get everything that we wanted out was to get the A pillar, the B pillar, the C pillar, everything out of the car, so that we were able to remove the roof liner, so to speak, of the car. Now, if you want to know exactly how to remove the entire roof, I believe Saab Master T²X have made a very educational video about that, on how to do this very quickly and without any error. But nevertheless, I do sort of have to admit, removing the headliner was rather scary, as it was the first time that I did it myself. And well, it took a bit of practice and careful nudging to get it to where I wanted it to go, which was basically out of the car. Now that everything is out of the car, I start to inspect what we gotta do. I want to do the roof of the car, because there's always a lot of wind noise on cars with a sunroof. But before we can get to all of that, we're gonna have to clean the body of the car, because there was a lot of dirt, debris in there. This is all stuff that you want to remove whenever you can, because the material that we'll be adding to the chassis of the car needs to adhere properly. And if there's dirt or any other material in the way, it could prevent proper adhesion, which would mean that less sound gets reduced. Therefore, we vacuumed the car, and afterwards we decided to also make sure that it was completely degreased, as there was quite some grease stains in this car, to make sure that adhesion was promoted as much as possible. Of course, this is all very boring stuff, but also very essential stuff, as, like I said, you want to make sure that the adhesion of the material that you're using is as good as it can be. If it's not good, it means that you get air pockets, or you get other pockets of debris in there, which will make sure that sound isn't as isolated as you could potentially get it to be. So as you can see, we're wiping off all the panels after we've degreased it, which is essential again for adhesion. And after this, we're going to add our vibration plates to the body of the car. Now, we made sure to do this faster than we do it in real life, of course, because degreasing and vacuuming the car takes up to about an hour. And usually getting all the stuff out of the car also takes at least an hour or 3 or 4 of work. Now, we use unbranded sound isolation, and the reason why we use unbranded sound isolation in this instance is because we're able to puncture it if there's an air pocket inside. And believe me, you will get air pockets. Now, with this unbranded stuff, there's no layer on top of it. With name branded stuff, there's usually like an extra plastic layer with the brand logo on it, and other stuff. And even though some of the name branded items are also made of butyl, which is what this sound isolation mat is made of, they sort of don't always properly adhere, or are a little bit too thin. Now, this stuff is about 4 millimeters thick, which is really thick. It also adds a lot of weight to the car again. Luckily, the weight is in this case in the lower area of the car, so it's not really impeding the drivability of the car. But nevertheless, it's something you're gonna have to keep in mind, especially when you do items that are higher up, for example the roof. That's definitely something we'll be doing with a lighter version of this unbranded stuff. But for example, doors is something we would prefer to do with name branded stuff, as you have to get in very tight locations, and name branded stuff is usually a lot more flexible than this stuff. Now, to make it into the shape that you want it to be, you're gonna have to heat up the material. It needs to get pretty hot, unfortunately, so sometimes it's better to wear gloves unless you, like I do, solder a lot and for some reason get really fire resistant hands because of that. Now, don't get me wrong, I still don't grab my soldering iron, but the heat coming out of my air gun, which is probably about 70, maybe 80 degrees at this particular moment in time, isn't all that hot, luckily. As you can see, I have a roller and a heat gun, and that's basically all the items you want or you need to sound isolate your car. So if you want to do this yourself, the trunk is one of the easiest areas to start on a Saab. On any other car, of course, there might be other areas that you want to do first, but on a Saab, especially in an estate, this is the area you want to aim for at first, as the rest of the car has a nice, neat layer of sound isolation if it's a V6 or if it's a diesel. The 2.0 and the 1.8i have the bare minimum sound isolation, so anything that you add to those cars will increase the comfort and the sound sort of the sound experience of your car immensely. Now, I'll basically just be rolling and showing you some videos of what we did to get the body, the lower part of the body, you know, the area where you sit in the trunk, fully sound isolated with the butyl material that we're using right here in this video. I always sort of focus a lot when I'm sound isolating on getting all the areas as flat as possible. You don't necessarily have to do this to get, you know, good results. It's something you want to do if you want the sort of perfect results. But if you're just in this game to, you know, get a decibel reduction for your subwoofer or whatsoever, don't worry about every air pocket that you can find. Don't worry about every crevice that you can find. Just make sure that it's on there tight, and you know, it saves you a lot more time, because if you want to do this perfect, about 7 to 8 minutes is what it takes to add one of these butyl mats to your car. And as you're basically adding about 20 to say 30 of these to your car as a sort of minimum, and not just in the trunk, I mean the entire lower body compartment of your car, you can imagine that it took quite a bit of time for me to fully complete the whole sound isolation. But luckily, eventually, to all things sort of comes an end, and eventually I was finished with the first plate of sound isolation added to the car. I usually work in a sort of crisscross pattern. It's not the most efficient, but you know, you work how you like it, I always say. And eventually the whole trunk of the car was done, and we were able to go onwards to the seating area. Now, before I finished this first plate, I noticed there was an air pocket in here. So what I usually do with this sort of stuff, as I told you in the beginning, I just grab like a screwdriver, I stab through it, and then I reheat the area to mix it together so that it's one cohesive plate again. Now, as you can see here, there's some sort of an air pocket. Now, like I said, I usually just stab it and then I press the whole thing together. As the plate was still hot, it was relatively easy for me to do. The air could escape, press it all back together, and you have a cohesive plate again with sort of the best sound isolation capabilities still intact. Now, what I'll do next is put on a little bit of music, so you have something interesting to listen to while watching the remainder of this video, for if you are interested in that sort of stuff. And I'll just use a couple of frames from the videos that I've made about the whole process, and in the hopes that it sort of helps you if you want to do this yourself. The next video will be showing you how to do the doors and the windows, as well as the roof and the wheel arches of the car, as those are very important factors to sound isolate as well. And once that's all done, we're going to sort of restore the body of the car itself, the panels of the car itself. So that will be something we'll do in the next couple of videos. So for all of you who sticked out to the end, this is sort of the end result of the body. Next we're going to do the roof and the doors, the windows to make them dual glazed, as well as the wheel arches. Anyway, thank you very much again for watching. Hope you enjoyed and learned a little bit about this, and we'll hope to see you in the next video again.